Good afternoon, everyone. I present to your attention the work of the apartment calculation plugin. This plugin is suitable for architects who work with housing design. In order to calculate a certain area for each flat, that is, how much you have living space, total or floor area including balconies and loggias, you need to count apartment calculation. An apartment calculation is determining how many squares your living area is, total square footage and the square footage including loggias and balcony, but loggia and balcony participate at certain ratios. Basically, the loggia is a coefficient of 0.5 and the balcony is a coefficient of 0.3. For the calculation, you will need the apartment calculation plugin. Let's see how the plugin works in the project. The only thing I've got here added is the balcony room and the room loggia. The first thing we need to do is to specify parameters that will work in the project for the calculation of the Apartmentography. You can set them up yourself or you can choose recommended by our company. For that, we'll go into the settings plugin, click on the tab Apartment Calculation, and here we'll click on tick mark. Use the recommended beam step parameters or select each of the parameters from general parameter file as you want. The setting of each parameter you can see in the text instructions. If you don't want to customize, you can use the recommended parameters and click the tick. Use the recommended beam step parameters. After that, we have all of our parameters set up automatically. Let's take a look at each parameter in order. The first parameter is the parameter where we will write the number of our flat. The second parameter will be the rounded area of our premises of each of the premises. That is, in Revit, we have a parameter for a room area, but it's not rounded. So we are going to round it off first. Or rather, the plugin will do that and record the appropriate parameter. In the third parameter, we will have to record the area of our room with taking into account the coefficient. For example, the rounded area of the balcony will be multiplied by 0.3 and then rounded again and written down. Into this parameter. In the fourth parameter, we will already be recording the type of room, that is, what type of room we have in our flat, residential, non-residential, balcony, loggia, etc. In the fifth parameter, we will have the rounded area of our flat will be recorded. The sixth parameter will be recorded with the total area of our flat, excluding balconies and loggias. The seventh parameter will record the total area of our entire flat, including balconies and loggias, taking into account the coefficients. In the eighth parameter will be recorded the total number of the residential rooms. Additionally, in the settings, there is a button Load Beam Step Markings for marking our premises within a flat and rounded areas. We'll click on it, it will download two families. These families we can find among the annotation family. The first family we have will be responsible for displaying rounded area. Second family will be responsible for the brand of our flat. We've set up all the parameters and our next task is within project to spread our facilities across flats and within a flat to specify each of the premises to one type or another. The first one is the purpose of the flat. Let all of the premises I have here shall be the premises of one flat. For that purpose, I choose all of the rooms and specify to the flat number parameter some number. Let it be flat number 100. Now all the rooms of this flat belong to a certain flat. What we need to do next is for each of the rooms of this flat to specify the type 1 to 5, where 1 is residential premise. Then, in this case, the premise is residential, so I put 1 in the room type parameter. For rooms that are not residential, loggia or a balcony, they should have number 2. We've got these facilities, let's put in them number 2. For the balcony, we put in number 3. For the loggia, we'll put the number 4. That's it. Now we made a setup and can run the plugin on the plugin line. BSIR run the plugin apartment calculation. Here we can do some settings. The first one is to select whether we are going to run the plugin over the entire model or a specific level. We have a flat located at the ground floor and we just need to select one level. Next, we need to specify for each of the types of the premises a coefficient. For example, for residential premises, we specify 1, and for non-residential, we specify the same, 1. For balconies, 0.3, for lodges, 0.5. If we had more terraces, we could specify some kind of coefficient to them as well. Next, we are rounding off the area to the nearest 0.1 or 0.01. If, for example, in this model we had multiple sections and the flat numbers were repeated, then we need to use an additional parameter, for example, section number. In order to separate these flats and rooms into different sections, in this case, we don't have that, so we won't select it. Click Done. Now, just to make sure, we can use markings. The first marking is rounded. Let's take it out and see. This marking we have counts up to 100 and we can see that it's outputting the number 40.26. If we choose that premise, then by default Revit counts the area of this room as 40.255 square meters. In fact, the number here is still more, but the plugin took that area, rounded it up and put 40.260 in this parameter. His value is output to this marking. If you want to collect schedules with rounded area values by room, you can use no longer a system parameter, but this parameter. Thus, we have the rounded area, but separately we need to calculate the area characteristics of our flat. To do that, we have marking in our flat. We pull it out and put it in. We end up with a brand where we have square characteristics. The first one is we have here a unit is written. This unit means that in this flat we have just one residential premise. So it's within the flat just one residential premise. Next, in this flat we have 70.32 square meters. That's our living space. Let's check. We've got that floor area, which is 70.320 square meters, both systematic and rounded. Next, we have 176.18 square meters. That's the total square footage of all the rooms, without balconies and lodges. And the third value in the total square footage of all the rooms, including balconies and lodges, and their coefficients. Let's run them. If we choose the balcony room, we see that by default Revit counts this room as 18,000 square meters. If we round it up to the hundreds, you also get 18,000 square meters, but because of the fact that it's the balcony, we'll multiply this value by 0.5 and we get 9,000 square meters. Same thing with the loggia, 40.260 rounded area, but rounded by a coefficient of 12.080. The bottom line is that all of these values at parameters are summed up, and within the flat we get 197.260 square meters. So with that plugin, you can calculate the apartment calculation. That being said, if you have something changed in the area characteristics, restarting the plugin will fix it. Let's divide the residential premise, thereby reducing the square footage from 70 to 53. Next, if you run the apartment calculation plugin again, done, the values will be automatically recalculated. Now, for this flat, we don't have 70 square footage or living space, but 53. The same way, all the other values are decreased. So with the help of restarting the plugin, you can immediately receive up-to-date figures within your flat. Further, if you need to, you can collect the specs on the premises, put all these general parameters in there, and thus getting a schedule for every flat, every room, and etc. That's it for now. Thank you everybody. Subscribe to the channel, give us a like. And in the description of the video, you can find the download link for the plugins with a free 2 weeks trial version. Bye everybody.